At the beginning of the summer, my parents decided to renovate the house, and I was sent 25 miles out of town to stay with my dad's brother. I barely remembered him, and his wife was just a vague memory. My uncle reluctantly agreed to take me in for an indefinite period. I didn't want to go. The university break had just started, and I had plans to hang out with friends and meet girls. Instead, as an 18-year-old, I was being exiled to the countryside. At least I'd have some time away from my parents. But right before I left, Uncle Joe called to inform us that he would be away on a business trip for nearly a month. The arrangement still stood, though, as his wife wouldn't be alone, and I could help around the house. Reluctantly, I packed my things. Dad drove me there in his old sedan. We didn't talk much on the way. He listened to the radio and occasionally glanced out the window. When we reached the neighborhood, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a picturesque village with well-kept houses surrounded by greenery. Luxury cars were parked by the roadside, hinting at the affluence of the residents. We stopped in front of a neat two-story house with a large open porch. A woman in a white summer dress with copper-red hair braided down to her waist came hurrying toward us. Her wide, welcoming smile was visible even from a distance. This was Aunt Angela. "I've been waiting for you all morning. What took you so long?" she exclaimed as she approached. She hugged Dad warmly, then turned to me and enveloped me in a tight embrace. "Kirby, you've grown so much. It's been years." Her perfume smelled of roses, but it wasn't overpowering, more like the natural scent of flowers. She kissed both my cheeks, leaving me a bit stunned. This warm welcome was unexpected. She ushered us into the house where a table on the porch was already set with tea and dried fruits. Aunt Angela was full of energy, chatting about her life and asking about ours. Dad was less enthusiastic, only giving short responses. When he inquired about a vegetable garden, Angela laughed and said, "People here live for joy, not backaches and calloused hands." Dad didn't seem amused. After a brief goodbye, he left, leaving me alone with Aunt Angela. She turned to me with a playful twinkle in her green eyes. "How about we take lunch to the lake?" she suggested. This morning was a complete disappointment. Could it really be that there wouldn't be any continuation? The bright, carefree start to my summer had suddenly lost its charm. I lay there in the grass, staring up at the clear blue sky, feeling an odd mixture of restlessness and longing. By the time Aunt Angela returned, the sun was already high in the sky, mercilessly blazing down on everything. She arrived in a small, shiny convertible that seemed almost too glamorous for this quiet, cozy village. "You've been lazy all morning, haven't you?" she teased, stepping out of the car with a wicker basket in her hand. "Just enjoying the peace," I replied, getting up to help her carry her things. "Good. You'll need your strength. I've planned something fun for us this afternoon," she said with a mischievous smile. Curiosity sparked in me again. Was this the continuation I was hoping for? As I took the basket from her hands, she looked at me with a playful twinkle in her emerald green eyes. "Go change into something comfortable. We'll be spending the afternoon outdoors," she said, already heading toward the house. I quickly followed her instructions, wondering what she had planned. When I came downstairs dressed in light shorts and a t-shirt, Aunt Angela was waiting for me on the veranda, now wearing a pair of sleek sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat that framed her face perfectly. "We're going to the woods," she announced cheerfully. "The woods?" I echoed, surprised. "Yes. There's a beautiful spot there that I want to show you. It's quiet, secluded, and absolutely breathtaking," she explained, her voice filled with enthusiasm. I nodded, intrigued. Soon we were walking down a narrow path that led out of the village and into a dense forest. The tall trees provided a much-needed canopy of shade, and the air was cool and filled with the earthy scent of moss and wildflowers. As we walked, Angela talked about the plants and flowers we passed. She seemed to know so much about the forest, pointing out edible berries and warning me about poisonous ones. After about 30 minutes, we arrived at a small clearing by a sparkling stream. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating a dappled pattern on the grass. It was indeed a breathtaking spot. "This is where I come to think and recharge," she said, sitting down on a large flat rock by the stream. She patted the spot next to her, inviting me to join her. I sat down, the coolness of the rock seeping through my shorts. The sound of the babbling stream and the chirping of birds created a soothing symphony, Isn't it peaceful? Angela asked, turning to look at me. It is, I admitted. Thanks for bringing me here. She smiled warmly. I thought you'd like it. For a while, we sat in comfortable silence, simply enjoying the beauty of nature. Then she pulled out a thermos and 2 cups from the basket. Tea? She offered. Sure, I replied. She poured the tea and we sipped it together, the warm liquid a pleasant contrast to the cool forest air. After a few moments of serene quiet, Angela reached into the basket once more, pulling out a small journal and a pen. She handed them to me with a mysterious smile. Write, she said simply. Write what? I asked, confused. Anything. Your thoughts, feelings, dreams. This place has a way of inspiring honesty and creativity, she explained, her gaze distant as if recalling her own moments of inspiration in this very spot. I hesitated, staring at the blank pages. But something about the tranquility of the forest and Angela's calm encouragement urged me to try. Slowly, I began to write. At first, the words came hesitantly, like drops of water from a rusty faucet. But soon they began to flow more freely. I wrote about the strange pull I felt toward this place, about the dreams I couldn't quite understand, and about the inexplicable sense of belonging I felt in the presence of Angela in this picturesque village. Angela didn't interrupt me. She simply sat nearby, sipping her tea and occasionally glancing at the stream. When I finally stopped writing, I looked up to find her watching me with a knowing smile. Feel better? She asked. I nodded, surprised by how light I felt, as if putting my thoughts onto paper had lifted a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying. Good, she said. Never underestimate the power of expressing yourself. Even if no one else reads it, it's important to give voice to your thoughts. I carefully closed the journal and tucked it back into the basket. What do we do now? I asked. Angela stood up, brushing off her skirt. Now we walk. There's more to see in this forest than just this clearing. Come on. I followed her, curiosity sparking anew. We meandered through the woods, Angela leading the way with her effortless grace. She pointed out hidden animal tracks, patches of rare wildflowers, and even a tiny bird's nest perched precariously on a low-hanging branch. The day stretched on, filled with discoveries and quiet moments of awe. By the time we returned to the village, the sun was low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the rooftops. Angela turned to me as we reached the house. See? Sometimes the simplest days are the most meaningful. I smiled, realizing she was right. This was a day I wouldn't forget.